Hello and welcome back to Dr. Sonja TV, the Wisdom Vault. Now, I have a treat for you today. I have the one and only, I'm not even gonna say his name yet. I'm just gonna introduce him in a few moments, but I want you to think about something. Have you ever thought about giving your story a voice and a bank account? Well, today I have someone who's done just that, and he's here to unravel everything he's done to get there. So thank you, Myron Golden, for being here today.
Always a pleasure
I'm so
to be with you, Dr.
excited
Sonja.
about this.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yes, so when I thought about this title and doing this interview with you, giving your story a voice and a bank account, I was thinking
like that.
about, isn't
when
that
you said
something?
that, I was like, that's a vibe.
Yes, it is. So, but you're the epitome of that.
Wow,
giving your
thank you.
story a voice and a bank account. And so as we go through today, I have this thought, right?
Okay.
That there are about three things, the only three things we need to really start giving our story a voice and a bank account. Now,
Okay.
can I let you in on what I think, and you can kind of caveat and we can go
Sure,
from there?
let's do it. Let's
One
tag
of the
team. Let's go.
One of the biggest ones, the only three things I believe we need to be a speaker, but really being a profitable speaker, is number one, a brand.
Okay.
Now, I heard you say this before, and you're like, hey, because I think what happens with us sometimes, Byron, is because we are the brand, we're not thinking about that word everybody uses about the brand.
Sure.
Would you agree?
100%. And a brand is it's a name.
Yeah.
It's a name that reminds you of a story. Preferably a story with a bank account
Exactly.
and a voice, right? But
Exactly.
it's a name that reminds you of a story. And if it's a premium brand, it's a name that reminds you of a story that you'd be willing to pay a lot of money to see yourself in. And so if you have a powerful brand, people will pay piles of money to attach your name to their story. How cool is that?
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
all the way to the bank cool.
All the way to the bank cool,
Yeah,
for real.
for sure.
Yeah, so and most people don't think of a brand as being a name, but if you think about the car that you drive, right?
Yeah.
What kind of car do you drive?
Really? You want to do that right
mean,
now?
I know what kind of car you drive.
Oh yeah, you do.
I was-
Okay, it's a Porsche.
Oh, right. But
Taycan?
that's somebody's name.
Yeah,
Porsche's
true.
somebody's name.
True.
Right? The manufacturer's name. Mercedes, that's somebody's name.
Yes.
Right? Louis Vuitton, that's somebody's name. All of these.
Rolls-Royce?
Rolls-Royce is somebody's name. Okay. All right. Cool. You win. So yeah, but that's Rolls-Royce is somebody's name. Bentley is somebody's name. Like all of the things that when we think of a brand, we're thinking of a name. And what most people don't realize is that personal brands are way more far-reaching than business brands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you think of like Elon Musk's brand is bigger than Tesla's brand.
Oh yes.
Steve Jobs' brand is bigger than Apple, and Apple's like the ginormous brand of brands. But Steve Jobs has been dead for 13 years, and if you say Apple, name the first person that comes to your mind when I say Apple, people still say Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Because Steve Jobs was the name. He was the name behind the brand.
He was.
Yeah.
So, Myra, I want to go a little bit deeper on this one as far as the brand, right?
Sure.
And I believe there's like three different categories in there. So
Okay.
there's a brand story.
Brand story.
There's a brand message, and there's a brand movement.
Okay.
Right? And when I start thinking about a brand story, it's the story that, not that we tell ourselves, but it's the story that we share with the world. That really gets people the opportunity to resonate with us.
Right. And the brand story that we share with the world, in order for it to be impactful and to create a brand movement, it needs to be a shareable story. It needs to be a story that people care enough to share, but it needs to be a story that's simple enough for people to share. People can't share a complex story,
Right.
and they're not going to share a boring story.
Say that one more time for the people in the back. That boring story.
Yeah, people don't want nobody's going to share a boring story. And what's really interesting is people don't even buy into your story because it's your story. They buy into your story because of the parts of your story that they can relate to.
Absolutely. And I believe that's where the brand message comes from. You know, I hear people all the time, I want to share my testimonial. No, your testimony. No. How about you share a story? And how about from that story you create a message so the people that are listening to you, they're able to resonate, they're able
So
to
good.
walk away and have
Feeling
some
empowered.
information. Yes. And not just empowered, instructed what to do next.
So good. Yeah, what you just said. I agree. I agree. Here.
So, Myron, what about that third part with this brand, that movement? What do you think about that?
It's really fascinating because when you first start out, you don't think I'm going to build a movement,
Yeah.
right? I mean, maybe some people do,
Yeah.
but most people don't.
True.
But you know it's a movement when you go to a restaurant and people come up to you and they just start talking to you and telling you, I watch your videos all the time. I share them with all these people. My son told me about you. My mother told me about you. My sister told me. And so it becomes a movement because it's moving. And when I say it's moving, I mean the components of your story, the transformation of your story gives people hope, and it causes them to move from a place of despair to a place of destiny.
That's good, Myron. That's good. So,
And it just came to me too, just like
did.
that, right there
That's
on the
what I'm
spot.
talking- That's what I'm talking about. You're so good. So as we go on this journey of being speakers, and I don't just say speaker, I mean a profitable speaker, because
Sure.
I believe there are thousands upon thousands of speakers out there, but not many of them are profitable in a particular way.
It's amazing how broke they are.
But it's like I call it the old school way versus the new
Sure.
school way. Let's talk about that new school way.
Okay,
That
okay.
new school way, and when I say the only three things we need, the second one is about the strategy. Let's talk about the strategy from going old school, where they just pay you to speak, to being on the stage and you get to write your own check.
So it's interestingly enough, like I think of three different types of speaking. Okay,
Break 'em down
like
for
three
us.
categories. There are fee speakers, right?
Yes.
And then there are speak to sell speakers,
Yes.
and there are celebrity speakers. And
Which one are you?
I do all three of them.
You're
but
the
I
jack
didn't
of all
s-
trades.
No,
Okay.
but I do all three. But I started out as a speak to sell. I started out speak to sell. It's way more profitable.
True.
So like I remember, like I get hundreds of thousands of dollars to come talk now, right? So it's kind
I'm just saying.
it's kind of a different space to be in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because when I first started, somebody asked me how much I charge to speak. I would have been nervous to say $10,000, right? But I've had people reach out to me and want me to come speak, and I tell them how much it is. They're like, well, we're not sure we want to do that. Well, then I'm
You tell
sure
them
you.
$10,000 a minute now, right?
No, I tell them $250,000 plus travel expenses, and travel expenses include private jet fee, which is $11,000 an hour,
Yes.
plus all of my expenses door to door from the time I leave to the time I get back. But that's okay.
Yes.
Like, part of the reason I do that, can I be really transparent?
Please.
Is because I don't like it.
I agree.
And so when somebody wants me to do something I don't like to do, I charge them a lot of money for it.
Wow. I agree.
Right.
You have no fight here.
Yeah, so I started out just speaking, and then I would sell a home study course.
Yes.
And my first home study course was only $147. But I remember the first
Wait, pause. What was that?
$147. This was in 2003. It was August of 2003. I remember like it was yesterday, because it was the day that changed my life. I stood up in front of an audience. There were about 130 people there. I made an offer for $147, and in 45 minutes, I did $5,900 in sales. In 45 minutes. That was the most money in the shortest period of time that I had ever made in my life. And I said, oh, this is a thing. Let's put this thing on rinse and repeat. And so 2 weeks later, I went to Cleveland, Ohio. I did it again. I think I raised my price to like $197.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I did $6,600 in sales. 2 weeks later, I went to another event in Baltimore. I did $8,800. I'm like, this is a thing. It's a thing. You can speak. You can tell people, hey, I've created this transformational solution for you, and if you'd like to buy it, it's X amount of dollars, and people do. So I do that now, but as a result of having done speak to sell and have helped so many people, now I have a brand that's kind of a celebrity brand. You know, we've got 600-something thousand subscribers on YouTube and a couple 100,000 subscribers in other places as well. And
That's
so
not kind of a celebrity. It's not kind of a celebrity.
it's not Denzel Washington-esque, but
That's
it's
different.
Right, but
that's different.
it's kind, to me, it's like I'm not famous. I'm internet famous-ish.
Being so modest here. So, Myron, as we begin to close out here, can you share with us, because we're understanding, and the world should be understanding that speaking is one of the #1 careers out there, and it's almost as if
100%.
you can wake up one day and be unknown, put a few things in place, and start killing a game as a profitable speaker.
Speak to Sal. Speak to Sal. When I started, I was not a virtual unknown. I was an actual unknown. In fact, I was an owl. What does that mean? I was Myron Who. People see my name on the list, they're like, Myron Who, right? Myron Who. And when I was a literal unknown speaker, I was making as much as $60,000 an hour selling from the stage.
Who wants to be that unknown?
Yeah, that part.
I'm with
Nobody
you.
knew who I was. I wasn't famous at all. Didn't have a speaker fee, like none of that. Just.
Well, Myron, I know this is just part 1. It seems like we're going to have to do a part 2.
I think we might have to do this again. Yeah, pick up where we left off.
Absolutely. All I'll say is thank you so much.
Thank you
for doing this.
Thank you.
You know,
Great questions.
We're going to have to go to a part 2 because as we dive into this whole world of speaking, as you know now, it's all about giving your story a voice and a bank account. And just remember this next time, and every time you hear me on the Wisdom Vault, give your story a voice and a bank account also. But if you didn't come from a wealthy family, let a wealthy family come from you. This is Dr. Sonja. I'll see you next time.